Okay, prior to finishing up the servo installation, we're going to take this opportunity to install the control horns. Provided with your kit, 4 micro control horns. You're going to find that the control horns are just a little bit too long for the wing installation. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to trim off a couple thousandths of the horn mount. You'll notice that there's actually little ribs on this peg, this control mount peg. You'll find overall our length is going to need to be right at 200 thousandths for the length of this peg. 200 thousandths can easily be achieved is if you simply back up 2 of these little ridges from the tip. The first ridge is right at the tip. You go back to the second ridge and take your razor blade and cut just at or behind that second little ridge. And you'll wind up right at 200 thousandths. Of course, wouldn't hurt to have one of these things if you have one. But just a little less than 1/4 of an inch. The idea is to wind up so that you don't go all the way through the wing and into the above the top surface. Okay, on the wing you're going to find, on each control surface, you're going to find a hard point where the control horns go. All right, very carefully drill yourself a hole in each hard point. This is a number 51 drill bit at 67 thousandths. Once you drill your hole, you're just going to use some good epoxy, slow cure epoxy, to install them. And then you're ready to final install the servos. Okay, now that we have our servo horns installed, we're going to go ahead and install the servo covers. Sorry about that. Okay, let's take a piece of our double-sided tape, cut it to size. Let's install that on the servo. Press vigorously. Oh, and I might take this moment to mention that you'll also notice that I have removed the grommet tabs on all of these servos so that they'll fit better. They're certainly not needed in this installation, so off they come. They'll fit in the wells much better that way. Okay. Remove the backing. All right, then we grab the supplied covers. We're going to want to take this. We're going to want to center it up on that arm as we install it. Okay. Carefully center it up. Like that. Press it in. That's very good. Then we're going to tuck the wires out of the way. Wires will get tucked. The servo will fit in there. And then next step, we're going to attach them with these. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, we have situated the servo in the servo well. You need to make sure, especially with the larger flap servos, that all the wires are out of the way of the servo itself. It's a very tight fit in that thin wing. Make sure the servo wires are all out from underneath that servo. You can actually carve out a little foam on the inside to make room for it. I found that that's very helpful especially right here on the inboard side. Just carve away a little bit of foam inside, break it out of the way for those wires to go in there. And now how we're going to install the adhesive cover, I found one really good way to do it is let's center up that servo. We'll get it right where we want it. And then I'm just going to put a little piece of Scotch tape on this bottom temporarily. That's going to situate it right where we want it. Now, make sure that you grab the correct tape. In this case, it's this one right here. Let's remove this tape. Now we're just going to tack it on there temporarily. And then let's do it like this. Let's put it so we have complete control of the top. And let's just install it up on the top here. Center it right over the plastic covers opening. And then just tack it carefully down on the front. And very carefully work it back. Now once you get it about halfway down, you can go ahead and pull your tape out of the way, and that allows you to, all right, and then press, always work the air bubbles out to the side. Bubbles go out to the side. And there it is. An installed servo. That's the way you'll do them all. And it winds up being a very, very simple, effective, and aerodynamic installation. And also, if you ever need to get back in the servo, you can just peel that right back off. It comes right off. But it doesn't come off till you want it to. Okay, next we'll put the linkages on. Okay, your kit came with a linkage package. You should have 4 control rods for the wing and 2 sets of Dubro micro clevises. And we're going to go ahead, now that we've got the servos installed, we're going to go ahead and install those clevises. You're going to find that your push rods are pretty close, but each one is going to have to be fine-tuned for length. Let's just trial fit one. Slip that on there. Okay, I'm seeing that this particular one is about 1/4 of an inch too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over. I'll take this over and I'll grind off 1/4 of an inch of this tip, and then I'll silver solder these together into a unit, and that's what we're going to do with all 4 of them. Simple. Okay, here's the finished rods. I'd just like to remind you of a couple of things when you make these. You're going to want to clean the end of that rod very carefully prior to soldering this on. Make sure it's very, very clean. Put some flux and tin it. If you have a good tin job on the end, then it'll solder up real nice and be very secure when you're done soldering it. Be sure to try very hard to pull this off. Grab it with a pair of pliers, twist it, give it a real good mechanical check to make very sure that it is a good solder joint, and then you're done with it. Okay, and we're finally done with this job. If you take a look, I've got all the push rods in place. They're all on the inboard side of the servo horns. Servos are mounted, taped. Clevises are installed, little rubber keepers holding the clevis pins in. And let's give it a whirl and see how it works. Looks like it's working pretty good. There's crow mode, ailerons go up, flaps come down. Ailerons, flaps. Looks like we got a winner.